Jews, the military, police, law enforcement, the governing class, etc. First, I'd like to point out that no one offers me advice. I get poisoned and provoked, and people play stupid about it. Every day, the sun goes up, the sun comes down. I'm proud of myself. I'm glad that I'm doing the right thing. But people are not offering me advice and feedback, and that makes me more mad. Okay? Now, obviously, I see what you people are doing for whatever reason. You decided to screen me out, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm addressing the different groups of people that I logically blame based on the evidence and the facts, the objective facts, if you will. The laborer is worthy of his hire. So God hired me because I'm worthy, and you know by my fruits. Okay, God put the sun there to shine, the birds to fly, the fish to swim, etc. And to feed people the bread from heaven, God put me here because when we look at the logic, it lines up and says this guy's going to tell us the truth. He has the heart. He's a certain type of person. Even through sabotage, you can see a lot of that, why I'm right. And you can see that I'm not limited by the boundaries of certain institutions and groups, etc. Um, would you be mad, okay, if they messed up your brain? Would you still be mad? Okay, so if the logic still lined up, so you see my ability to express anger is reduced. And if I really got really mad, it probably really messed up my brain because the brain wiring, they did something to it with the drugs and the fumes and technology that makes it harder for the brain to function in that manner. But don't you see that the mental illness argument is still weak, okay? Because nothing about the way I live my life is interfering with what I'm trying to do. It's more important than getting a job or planning for the future. It's like Jesus on the cross. Would you say, get a job or plan to the future? Okay. What about the person who's as an objective, logical argument? So when the Jews were questioning Jesus, they said, "What proofs do you have to offer that you have the authority to do this?" Okay. They're asking him questions. Not everyone saw their miracles. They're going by what the people said, and um, his argument, ironically, was actually weaker than mine. If you consider the miracles something that they didn't know for sure and they didn't know what was going on, okay, which perhaps is not a fair assessment, but if we factor that in and it was a fair assessment, okay, then there's that. And so he expected people to believe, especially people, if you go by the story, okay, later on to believe without seeing the miracles. So I have a more logical reason to proceed and to chastise. We look at Isaiah and Jeremiah, okay? Look at Micah, where they fill with justice and might and righteousness and chastising. Now, what is the purpose of this chastise? When your parents spank you, okay, back in the day they used to do so. I don't know what they're doing these days. Okay, is it to just destroy you? Now, when the end comes, when you cross that line where the must be cut off, okay, if you continued after the chastisement, okay, should it not be done? Is there not a greater source? Before love, there must be justice. And the person shows a disdain for justice, a lack of love. Should they not be cut off? If your virtue showed you love deeper than all others, would you explain that, or would you try to be polite? If you saw attractive women doing the wrong thing and you saw that they're high risk, okay, when someone leaves the mental hospital, or rather is taken to the mental hospital, the justification is that they're a high risk to themselves and to others. In this world where 433,000 people are raped a year, would you put the emphasis on attractive women? Okay? In this world where 9 million people starve to death, okay, do they have to be in front of you? Do they have to be in front of you for you to be mad? People are mocking you. Some of them feel kind of bad. There's a spectrum of feeling bad. Some people are psychopaths, narcissists. Some people are just scared, what have you. Okay? Should I not be mad? Should I not chastise you for not doing the right thing? When you look at Ezekiel and they talk about the watchmen, should you not warn them? If they're not responding in a way that reflects that they understand by obeying God, should you not warn them? When you see people mocking you, when you're trying to warn them, should you not reflect the message of justice? What my heart is telling me through the sabotage, what justice is telling me is that these people are headed for trouble. and I have to make harsh rulings when people seem to have crossed the line to the point of no return, and what justice would cause me to say, what the Word of God would cause me to say in the midst of all this interference. And when I look over it and I write things down and I organize my thinking to a certain degree, okay, and it says, hey, you're right, and I'm not getting any feedback, and everyone's doing the wrong thing. I mean, am I not on camera right now? Am I not speaking? Okay, are you not the children of who you're the children of? Am I not delivering you the message that God would deliver? So you know, for whatever reason, the circumstance of the situation has caused me to tell you what God would tell you. So whether I'm doing martial arts in the spirit, whether I'm fumed and reduced, is this not still what God would tell you? Okay, if I spoke it in Ebonics, or I use cuss words, or I don't use cuss words, or I'm speaking French and it was being translated on the screen, would it not still be the message of God? When the English Standard Version, the New International Version, and the King James Version seem to line up, does it matter which version that you use? When they kind of complement each other, help us understand. You know, is it really fair to deny me love? Should the people in charge not hear me out? Should they not share this video and say, hey, you know what? We've done a lot to this guy. Okay? And he's chastising us as we would expect the righteous man to do. What would Jesus do? What would the righteous man do? When I look at what is my part in this world, okay, what would a king do? So even if you don't believe that I'm the King of Kings, that I'm the Christos, I'm Christ, I'm the top martial artist, at least believe that I'm doing what they would do. And the message is justice and righteousness. That is the true morals of the Bible. Okay? At least believe that when I'm mad in a way that I can face God and say, hey, I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing your will. You know, if I'm not, then by all means, adjust me, correct me. But don't correct me through these people who are doing something wrong in that way. Okay? That's what I would ask God. I would say to God, because why should I believe that, especially in this situation? It's not logical to believe that the right thing to do is to pretend that you're right, or to listen to do what you say. Okay? The right thing to do is to say what is just and right, when they have no viable counter argument to the point where I'm not even getting feedback anymore. People have just said, hey, just torture them, we don't want to hear it. They know I've been going on and on about morals for a long, long time. Okay, I've been trying to explore it with women as part of my romantic pitch when I was younger. I say, hey, I'm this great guy from this great family, okay? And I don't want to lose you. And I lost them one at a time, at a time, at a time. Many of you know, my ex-fiancée is what I referred to her as across the world at the time in Greece. And she was a white person, looked Jewish. Okay, I'm not racist. I was willing to marry her. She left me with saying bye, probably slept with a bunch of guys. The 3 females I dated after her did the same thing. Okay? And I said, look, don't you see that they're wrong? Don't you see it's wrong to cast justice to the side, to disregard it, to discard it? Don't the world see that they're wrong? Don't you see that, you know, the best they can do no matter what, whether you believe I'm right about being sealed in hell or that there's an afterlife and so on and so forth, the best thing they can do is reach out for justice and righteousness. I used to live in a nicer house, a mansion, and I'm not worried about money. My point is that I've had a lot of nice things in life, and that's not what makes someone fulfilled. Okay, there's no easy way to explain this. Okay, I'm sure by now many of you know that I'm the type of guy who tells the truth. Okay, and when I started making my videos, I was scrambling to find the right words and to play the right angle, and I made some minor mistakes in my videos. But in the last couple years, okay, as you would expect, I refined my ability to pinpoint what must be said. Okay, and even when I'm stumbling on my words. So, money is not how you bring your kids happiness. Attractive females is not how you bring your kids happiness. 50% of marriages end up in divorce, as they say. Okay, why? Because being attractive, how many of them are attractive, isn't enough. It's not fulfilling enough. It's not fulfilling enough to ignore the evil around you. And the evil goes both ways. Okay? What is fulfilling, what they're trying to get to is God. Even in sex, it's like this flesh thing. It's, you know, is it just one part of the body? Is it just the brain? Is it just the nerves? What is it? They're trying to get to the essence of this stuff. Okay? And the essence is God. The source of the pleasure of sex is God. The source, and it's love. And what they're looking at is like looking at the shadow. It's like licking the wrapper and throwing away the candy bar. It's not even that. They're not getting to the essence. They're not being fulfilled. You're cheating yourselves. There's no easy way to explain these things. And I tell you, everybody on the planet is better off rallying to me and accepting being screened out. And the governing class are better off ceasing to persecute me immediately. Okay, that's what they're honestly better off as. And this is one of the things that no one gives me feedback about, because the bottom line is making love is superior to sex. Okay, reaching out for justice and being rich and trying to minimize the damage by minimizing persecuting this guy, persecuting me, is the smart move here. It's not to finish persecuting because of traditions and customs and mere human rules. It's to try to stop, okay? To stop and try to make it right in what little time I have left. Life is short one way or another. I'll leave it there. I don't want to go on and on, but I feel like there's a lot to be said in this regard. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job communicating, so I keep going, you know. We'll just go a little bit longer, okay? You know, I remember when I was younger, I said, you know what, the ideal solution for them is to, you know, get a bunch of attractive Jewish women and try to get me to marry one of them, and then this kind of merges together. Okay, I moved to Israel, so on and so forth. I don't know why you rejected that argument. I think it was foolish, because what would have happened was, one scenario is I have males and female children, and eventually one way or another it kind of mixes together, and voila. But you rejected this argument. As you rejected me as in your families, you've rejected justice and righteousness from God. Okay? And that gives God no choice but to reject you as kings, as priests. Okay? And I don't understand why in 2021, after all the movies and all the religious depictions and plays and stories, all this kind of evidence, that you did this. Okay? But if for nothing else, for your children, stop. Because I do know one thing: who I really am, who God really is a warrior, and who I am is somebody who is going to go through with the things that I say. He's going to torture people forever. Okay, people confuse, think it's the devil. Read Isaiah 65, 66 several times. Understand what they're saying. Jeremiah, right? It's the fire in my heart, that who I am, who my soul is, who God is, who the source of this thing is, as we merge together, is someone who's going to punish people for this. Okay? The animals were like a lesson for the people. It's like preparing a feast, right? It's preparing a war, a martial art world, an animal world, a world where people could explore science and be fair, and so on and so forth, okay? And you're ignoring the lessons to be learned here, you know? So for nothing else, for your offspring, for yourselves, do something kind for yourself, and stop persecuting me. And try to make this right to the best of your ability. Eventually I'll be gone. You'll still have an offspring for quite some time from what I gather. Okay? That's the right thing to do.